So the president's saying we're kind of prepared. We got some vaccines in the works and stuff. He's coming under fire from the left as usual. We're keeping our eye on the top story today in the markets. Dow down 330 as we speak. So that coronavirus is still scaring the heck out of the markets, and the bulls are on the run today to the wrong side of the street. Market down big. And it seems like, Billy, every time the president turns around, no matter what, they got to just take the other side of it. Like, he's not prepared. He cut the funding. He doesn't have enough masks. Like, this is when they should be stepping up and saying, what do we need? $2.5 billion? Here you go. We got it. So why do they got to do this? Why can't they ever work with the guy?
Well, this is kind of we've seen this over and over again with every big issue that's come up. They've got to take the opposite route here. But the truth is, the president stepped up. Mike Pence is obviously heading this, but earlier today, they just announced a coordinator now, who's a longtime physician who's been coordinating our effort, who's appointed by Barack Obama, actually, as the ambassador to deal with the HIV issues over globally, who's a physician, who's a military veteran. So I think they understand that this is serious enough, and I think, $2 to $3 billion, I trust them to do the right thing right now. I think as this progresses, I think you could see things change. You can see a budget increase, certainly, but I think it's just kind of what we've seen over and over again is that Trump says the grass is green, Democrats say the grass isn't green. It's one of these over and over again, these issues. This is an issue that I like to see people come together on, Democrats and Republicans.
Shouldn't they just hand it over on this one, Sam? Doesn't it make them look bad to even fight them on funding for a potential outbreak?
So let's think of it a different way. Let's forget the fact that who he appointed, he put Mike Pence in charge, had a lot of problems with an HIV outbreak when he was governor. Forget about that. Obama didn't appoint a medical professional. Imagine you were the CEO of a major corporation, a big company, and a new kind of competitor or threat was arising that was an existential threat to your corporation. And you called a big board meeting, and you get up there, and you start telling stories about how some guy pissed you off last week, and about how the Democrats are the real problem, and about how, I actually never really knew that this other thing was a big problem, but I hear that it is a big problem. He'd be fired. It was an incompetent speech. Forget about who he appointed, because yes, it's true that you don't need to maybe appoint a medical professional because that person can competently manage the situation. But when the president steps up in front of the nation, amid deaths in other countries and his own administration saying that there will undoubtedly be an outbreak in America, and he goes to the mic totally unprepared, freewheeling, campaign rally style like he's down in Alabama whipping up crowds.
I tend to agree with him about Sam.
It's frankly frightening. And to go back to a point I was making before the break, there should be absolutely no reason, if you are an independent, a moderate Republican, or a Democrat who's fed up with what's going on, you really should not care who the Democratic nominee is at this point.
So vote
when you
for
see a
anybody
speech
but
like that.
Trump is what you're saying.
Vote for anyone but the man who gets up in front of the nation amid a potential pandemic hitting America and giving a rambling speech that gives you no confidence that you can keep the country safe.
So you think appointing his right-hand man, who's dealt with some kind of outbreak before, is irresponsible and unplanned, unprepared? That's what you think about. He shouldn't have made Mike Pence.
I think. Just to call back another reason, the idea that it's not a big deal that he's been cutting funding to the CDC because, we can just hire doctors, that's just how it works, we can hire them quickly. That's insane. It's an insane comment. A rational president would never say that. Democrat or Republican. If you asked any Democratic or any Republican administration official what they privately thought of that comment, I'd be shocked if they said that was a smart thing to say, that was a rational thing to say.
I think you put your right-hand man on it. That's saying a lot. And if you got experience governing in these times, then you know what to do. You go get the doctors. But take a look what Trump tweeted about Barack Obama, I think back in 2014. Obama just appointed an Ebola czar with zero experience in the medical area, zero experience in infectious disease control. Total joke. So apparently, way back in 2014, Billy, Obama put in a guy with no experience whatsoever as the Ebola czar.
I don't remember hearing outcries from Democrats back then. But listen, again, this is the press conference is what we've come to expect from the president. That is who he is, like it or not, take it or not. The problem was, it's a different issue here. The issue was that he was facing criticism because they said they weren't funding it enough. right? So I think these are two issues. This is another style versus substance sort of thing. You can disagree with the president's style. A lot of people do. A lot of people like it. But the truth is, at the end of the day, he's stepping up. He's putting the vice president in charge here. He's putting someone who's qualified, a physician, an actual doctor who's dealt with things like this before. So you have to kind of obviously work through some of these things to say, listen, I think the president's taking this serious. The administration's taking this serious. And we have to trust that they're going to be able to respond in the way that we need them to respond.
We always have Ben Carson. I mean,
He's
if we
there
need to
too.
bring him in from the
He's a
HUD.
brain
Oh,
surgeon.
yes, great idea.
I like
Yes.
Ben.
Oh, yes, I'm sure that would go very well. Yes.
Oh, he's a brain surgeon.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, that's
yeah.
a highly qualified. Would that be good?
At the very least, I think it's important. I think it's, a big takeaway for Americans is that the commander-in-chief relayed to the nation that he was recently hugged and kissed by a man who was sneezing, and the president was very grossed out by it and repeatedly washed his hands, which I think was really important for us to know. And I think that it was really helpful to continue that important dialogue.
Sam,
And in that case, it doesn't matter who you put in charge, because that's
I don't know if you've been watching lately, but me personally,
Yes.
I have been employing a strategy of drinking 1 Corona beer per day. You fight fire with fire. You know how that works, right?
Sure.
And I'm keeping these handy everywhere. I'm washing with them. I'm wiping everything down. Lysol dual action wipes. They actually fight the human coronavirus, these wipes. So.
And they've actually, I mean, the CDC has also recommended that, I shave my beard if I ever need to put on a mask. I mean, there was also this crazy graphic that
Really?
was going around. Yeah, they're saying that guys, if you've got a beard, then, if you're wearing the kind of a respirator mask, it's going to be ineffective. So
Do you want to?
I'm concerned.
Do you want to wipe down the beard maybe with the dual action in case anything's in there? or-
Well, what you need to do, I think, is you need to shave a line so you can get suction with the respirator, but keep it.
Hey,
Might not go over too well at the bar after work.
One final thought, if Sam, I know we're going to have both you guys back a lot more times, but what's your prediction for how this all pans out after Super Tuesday?
It is impossible to give a firm prediction of what will happen, but one of two things will happen: is Bernie Sanders will be virtually unbeatable in terms of whether folks can catch him in the delegate count, or there will be potentially a brokered convention, and it's impossible to say what happens next. Two things will happen after that. If he dominates in California and Texas, he will be uncatchable. If he does not, it's up for grabs. And
Cali's winner take
Yeah.
all, Billy? California's a winner take all state, or there's proportional?
No, I
delegates?
think it's I believe it's proportional, but it's a massive amount of delegates
It's like
out there.
450, I think.
It's something around there, but I think Bernie winds up hitting a critical mass. I think he wins in those states, in some of those big states there. Biden may pick up 1 or 2, but I think this is where Bernie's going to seize the day.
Let's hope, because if Sam's right, and he's usually right, we'll have Trump running against Nancy Pelosi and Sherrod Brown, right? that could come out of a brokered convention.
But
you
what I'll
say.
just say too is, if Bernie does cruise to victory in the Democratic primary, again, to Democratic voters, Democratic pundits, everybody, it is insane to say that he will lose to Trump, because if I asked you guys this time in 2016 whether Trump was going to run away with it and win the Electoral College, I wouldn't have got a lot of yeses, even from Republicans, publicly or
Well,
privately.
for me and Billy, you probably would have. So you're in good company.
Yeah, there you go.
So am I. So are you. Bill Cortez, Sam Spicone, thank you so much. Thank you for sticking with us. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back right after this with a patriotic artist and activist, the guy who's created a lot of the artwork we have here in the studio. Scott Lebedo is going to join us next.